සුබ දවසක් අපි දෙනාටම like um, let's start with economics first and last day, right? We have started with demand and supply. Let me give you a small feedback or just to say where we are doing. Right. So then it's a briefing. Your note is quite different from this. It's just a slideshow, right? So then we have studied what is meant by demand. Okay. So then we say, okay, there is desire to purchase the goods, right? Okay, but there's a problem, right? If you don't have money, you cannot buy that, and it has to be effective demand. That means you have the ability to pay, and then you want to buy the good. Okay, that is first thing, right? And also we studied little bit of law of demand. Okay, uh, holding other factors constant, right? Say for example, between the price and the quantity, there's a negative relationship when they move in opposite direction. Okay, then we explain a little bit of this. Okay, that is law of demand. And then we went further, right? We have studied, we have learned how to draw the demand curve, isn't it? Right. Okay. Then we went back to, okay, individual demand curves and the market demand curve. Now, for example, here there's one individual, here there's one individual here. Like this is the first person demand curve, the second person demand curve. So if you want to get the market demand, we have to do the horizontal summation and divide. So this can be one person, this will be another person. This will be the total demand for the market. Okay, so that also we have studied, right? And we said, okay, there can be movements along the demand curve. Okay, so this is if the positions are here Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q1 correspond to P1, and Q3 correspond to P2, and Q3 correspond to P3. So these can be movements along the demand curve, right? Now, when we talk about P3, your demand is Q3, right? At P1, your demand is Q1. At P2, your demand is QT. Okay, you can see at higher prices will be demanding less, and at lower prices will be demanding more. So when you get all the points connected, you will be able to draw the demand curve. Okay, so then you can see sometimes demand reduces, sometimes it increases. So these are termed as contraction and extension of demand. Okay, so these are movement along the demand curve. And also we went here, this is extension, that means from moving from one point to another, right? You can see more is demanded, then it's extension, right? Now, don't you have extension code at home so that you can take the electricity further? So that's increase. Contraction of demand, the opposite, right? That means the demand is reduced. Okay, the other way around. That also we explained a bit. This is right. Okay, then we had to study the change in demand and the change in quantity demanded, right? So now you can see the demand curve is moving to its left and the right. Okay, entire demand curve is moving to its left and right. So that is the shifting of the whole demand curve. So that can be identified as change in demand. So here D1, then do D2, D3. So if we talk about the price P1, right? So P1, your QD is Q3, and at this point, right, is Q1, it's Q3. You can see it's like at the same price, sometimes less is demanded and more is demanded, right? It's depend on the whole demand curve. Go to the next one, right? And we stop there saying that I am in, okay, in your note, you should be in page number 16, right? In page number 16, right, I have given points, reason, page number 815 says the following reasons affect the shift of the demand curve to its right. And the other one says the following reason affect the demand curve to the left, to shift to its left, right? This is where we are. I just want to elaborate more. That day we didn't have much time. I said I'll do it today. Okay. Now, for example, say, right? So these are the factors affecting the demand curve to shift to its left or right. So one is advertising, right? So with advertising, you can make public awareness. So you will be able to shift the demand curve to the right side. And if I take one example here, now you can see how people advertise. Now it's basically by social media. Now, if you talk about, say, Instagram, it's like Instagram advertisements are done by some set of people. And if you talk about TikTok and all, it's done by separate set of people, right? Different types of item they are dealing with and also different types of customers, right? Okay, now we can see these, they do sell online and you can see they have a huge market, right? So because they create public awareness, so because of advertising, demand can be increased, the demand curve can be shifted to its right side, but it has to be the right advertising. It has to be the right advertising, right? And you cannot, use some like it has to be approved by the general public, and use of wrong theme, use of wrong bad word images will be not ethical. It has to be proper advertising. Okay, all of us, you must have heard about watability and the related story. People actually they have spent more on that, but I think it was not successful, or they must have asked, they must have thought of doing negative publicity, I mean negative thing, but to get the attention of some people. So it happens, right? And next one is the disposable income. How much of money you have to spend? Right now, you should be getting your normal income. From that, you add allowances, take away taxes. You should be getting disposable income. So when you get a higher income, people might demand for foreign travel, branded items. It depends. Okay. So at the same time, when the disposable income is lesser, people will go for cheap items like, uh, they cut down the consumption many more, right? And the price of related item also matter, right? Now, for example, say if two goods are produced, two goods are used together, like toothpaste and toothbrush, it has to be bought, right? You cannot complete the satisfaction without having both together. So both goods will have to have a proper same demand, right? And there could be goods which can be used instead, right? Say substitute. So if tea is expensive, you may go for coffee, right? But tea and coffee is basically, for an example, and our people don't drink of coffee as much as the UK people do. Okay, slightly difference. Now, shall I say price of related goods? Okay, and say substitutes which can be used in other. Now, say in my profession, many ladies used to wear saris, but now it's changing. We see the cost of wearing it, right? Against cost of wearing some smart casual is, so there's a so difference. And at the same time, it's very convenient not to wear a sari and wear something else. Okay, so you can see with the demand curve can shift to left or right depending on the situation, right? And your population matter, right? Size, age, and the gender distribution of population matter, right? And I was reading some documentary about South Korea. People don't get married, right? And if you are selling baby items, okay, there is no market for it. At the same time, elderly population, right? It's also rising. Earlier, those things was faced by Japan, but not anymore. Like not only Japan, many countries are facing the situation, right? And with the interest rate, okay, with the interest rates are high, they tend to lead, they are leading to inflation at times, okay. And at the same time, not many people might decide to save in fixed deposit. If the rates is high, then the amount of money available, the other things will go down. For example, without buying land, people might invest in fixed deposits and all that. Okay, so your demand for these items will reduce, right? Taste and fashion also differ, right? Okay, from time to time. I can remember some time ago, people used to wear, body fits and all that, right? But not tell me, what a body fit is, I think yeah, Ricky Martin. Yeah, Ricky Martin used to wear body fit those days. So I'm talking about 20 years ago, right? So then all young people used to wear it, and some skeleton fellows also used to wear it, and they didn't look nice at all. Some people were fine, yes, okay, but now body fit is like out of style. So then after some time, people started wearing oversized t-shirt, right? Okay, and what do you call it? Um, I can remember a lot of people in the social, I mean, entertainment used to wear it. So people started copying them many more. Now, if you wear an oversized t-shirt, it's yeah, it came with hip hop actually, right? If you wear oversized t-shirts today, then you are like a real out of line person, right? Okay, real how do you call it? Should not tell the word, right? Okay, so these are the basic ideas. And if I just go into little, you may listen only today, right? Only this part, right? Okay, right. If you have money, what will happen? If you have money, if you don't have money, you will use public transport. Okay, so your purchasing power will decide what kind of item you should use. But if you have more money, you can go for a luxury good, like without using public transport, you might hire Uber or many things, isn't it? Many other vehicles, right? And further, right? So it's all about the disposable income. In Sinhala, we call it වැය කළ හැකි ආදායම, right? And also, when disposable income increase, what shall we do? Right? People go for luxury goods, right? Luxury goods, and what you have been all using all this time become a cheap good or inferior goods, right? So people go for branded item, they go for expensive places, right? With the increase of disposable income. But at the same time, when it falls, people will come to, consume, some other type of inferior good. So the demand curve for luxury goods might drop if there's a fall in the income, right? This is basic idea, right? And go further, you can see, okay. When disposable income rises, demand for normal goods will rise. Okay, at the same time, they will not buy the inferior goods, so the demand for inferior goods curve will shift to its left. Right, next. Right, okay. So at the same time, when the purchasing power falls, right, when the consumer's purchasing power falls, you will not be able to accommodate or purchase luxury good. You might go for cheap items, okay, or something closer, right? Mhm. People might not worry about the quality, you might worry about the quantity, right? So this is just an idea. I'm still explaining last pages of your previous note, right? Okay, it's another reason, right? Okay, do this. Right. Okay. Taste and changes in taste and fashion. Right. During IPL season, right? IPL related items can be bought by people in mass scale. So the demand for those could rise. Okay. Once the IPL is over, again to the left. Right. Okay. Now, see, I just give you some idea. Now, they say from May onwards, Sri Lanka, certain part of Sri Lanka and some countries and even UK, like they will be facing, not only those, like many countries will be facing El Nino. El Nino is a very warm situation. Now, El Nino and La Nino, this like geographical concept, right? Every 6 years, either El Nino or La Nino, right? It's about the temperature levels. Okay, temperature level of the sea. Sometimes you get very cold season, and sometimes you get a very hot season. So what you're going to face is a very hot season, El Nino. So then what shall we wear? Can you wear all these clothes which are very stylish but very warm? You can't be wearing those. So people will get to wear some cotton clothing, very comfortable clothing like that. Okay, so if it's like some time ago, it's about the very low temperature. People had to wear clothes which are good for keeping the body temperature properly. Okay, you can see from time to time changes in taste and fashion can take place. So demand curve will shift to its left and right. Okay, so right, okay. This is about the population, right? If the population is very high, you will have to uh, mm, buy in large quantities. More is demanded. So the curve will shift to its right side. Right, okay. At the same time, when people are less in numbers, demand curve will shift to its left, right? So there can be so many situations which can be which can, right? It's about the age structure I was talking about, right? So it's about the in the population pyramid, how many people you have, like elderly people, small children, right? Middle age, right? And over the time period, the population of the age, percentage of the age population have gone up, right? Or and you can see natural increase is minus, so you won't be able to see small kids, right? So and also the item they're using, like here they're using medical care and all that, and also the younger population. Right now, they all having everybody's having a phone, right, and computer items, related gadgets, many more. Right, everything has become smart. Right, so you can see the demand for electronics will shift to right side because we are facing different kind of population, young population, right? Okay, so that therefore, when you get a question, right, you have to be practical and then see how things go, right? Okay, and the population gender of the population also matter, isn't it? So if the entire like if you find more ladies, then you have to produce items which are related to female, more of those. Okay. And there's a place I work for. In that, the whole entire grade, there are so many boys and very little girls. And they get a lot of complaints that often girls get bullied by the boys. Okay. Situation. Right, okay. But if you get here more, if and the number of washrooms, okay, number of washrooms doesn't matter. Say if there are more boys and lesser number of girls, but in a school, they get equal number of washrooms, okay, same amount. So sometimes boys' washroom is overcrowded and girls' washroom is very little crowd in it. So situations, okay. So from time to time it changes, right? These are all situations, right? Okay. And price of related good. Okay. I just explained a bit, right? Right. Goods which can be used instead, right? And also which are the goods which are to be used together. Okay. So it can decide the demand going from one to another, right? Different brands and models of vehicle. You can buy this or that. Okay, now Tesla and shall I say BYD, some years ago, like Tesla is done by USA and BYD is done by China. Okay, so last year, maybe last year, Tesla was doing better. And when you read the news these days, they say BYD is doing. So they're the world number one, isn't it? So these are substitutes. So people can decide, okay, should we buy this or that? Right? But in next year, it might be different case. I really don't know, and it's difficult to predict anything with this current scenario in the world, right? With the war and all that, we don't know when it will stop and how people will react, and with the with the problem with the fuel consumption, it's not available. What is available also not enough, and people now might prefer electrical vehicles. Okay, so the demand for vehicles will go up, right? Reducing the demand for petrol related vehicles. And in times of uncertainty, people will not buy the things like which give long term benefit, like for you buy a land expecting the price to rise and you don't know tomorrow whether you live or not, so you will not do that. And with the rising interest rate, okay, people might will not buy jewelry. They might have fixed deposit, right? So that you can see they look at the current situation and they will do all their decisions on demand, right? So these are just all ideas, right? I will elaborate more. And advertising, as you know, okay, with advertising, it will draw the attention of the people. People will be aware of it, and you can shift the demand curve to right side. Okay, and you can see like uh, how many products are being sold. Like you look at Facebook, you look at Instagram, you look at TikTok. So many items are sold, right? They say I'm this is restock. That means they must have sold so many items in the past, right? And people now have a habit of buying stuff without realizing the quality or validity of the product. Okay, so these are current situation, right? So I think you get little idea about this, right? Okay, it's about the substitute. You can buy this or that. Yeah, these are all brands. You can buy this or that, anything, right? Domino's and pizzas, right? Okay, Manhattan, I guess, right? Okay, see, right. So again, a little bit of complementary goods. Okay, complementary goods. Two goods have to be used together. So if demand for one goes up and demand for the other one also should be uh, raised. Okay, like that. Now, for example, say if you buy petrol vehicle, demand for petrol also will rise. If you buy a diesel vehicle, demand for this diesel also will rise. Okay, so so then this is these are the areas you are talking about, kind of mind map, right? So little bit of that on this, right? Okay. So then this is a small, yeah, many more, right? So then I will go to my lecture note, right? I think they have sent you a lecture note. Is that so? Can you get this one? Right? I think it is sent to you. I think last night. If you have not printed that already, you don't worry about it. Just write the page number, and you have to draw the graphs with me. Okay, so you will be getting blank spaces in your note. Those are meant for the graphs and some other information. If I miss something, you can send me a text. Okay, or you can tell me, right? So now all this time you have been talking about the demand, wasn't it? Now let's talk about the supply side, right? So what is supply side? Okay. Yeah, this is right. What we expect to supply at certain prices at a given period of time. Okay. So this is the standard definition, right? Okay, they say quantity of a good that the producer is willing to able to offer for sale over a range of prices over a given period of time. Okay, that is the basic idea. Right now we are talking about the suppliers, right? We are talking about the suppliers, right? Second, right. Okay. So then there can be two types of supplies. Okay, one is a firm supply, other one will be the market supply. Right. So a second of this. Right. Okay. Then what is institutional supply? Okay. As an individual, right, what you will be able to sell. Right. So there is a firm one, firm two. I think you have blank space. Just fill this for me. You get that. Okay. Now in your note, okay, in your note, let's write this database. Right? You can make it shorter. In your database, I need space to draw this database as well as the graph. Okay, this is the graph. Okay, let's draw both together. And your pages may be different from mine, right? Page should be 17, I guess. Yeah, your page is 17. So you may write that in page 17. And my page numbers are different from yours. So in that space, do write the calculation of market supply. As you'll see, this is our price, £1, £3. This is firm 1, this is firm 2. So these are the quantities supplied under each price by each firm. If you take it down, firm 1 produces 10 at price of 1 and firm 2 produces 10. So therefore the market supply will be equal to 20. At price of 3, firm 1 produced 15 and firm 2 produced 15. At higher prices, you tend to produce more. Okay, and your market supply will be the sum of these two, that is 30. So after taking down this, you may draw this graph. When you want to draw that, right, there's no need to worry about the scale, but you can simply say firm 1, draw firm 1, firm 2, right? And two prices are given at 1 and at 3. And here 10 and 15 and here 10 and 15. So just connect the point, right? And then you get the total market sum of these two at these two prices. I give a little time to draw this. Shall we do it? Okay, go ahead. Uh, it doesn't have to be beautiful, but it has to be clear. And how to get the market supply? It's about adding the or horizontal summation of individual supply of each firm at each price level. Okay, sorry, somebody wants to draw a table. I'll show you. Sorry, I missed it. Okay, right. So, yeah, here everybody now kindly draw all what is shown, right? Because you have to draw the graph. Economics is about drawing graphs and you learning the curve. Then it become part of you, right? If you do accounting, you have to draw the line, you have to write the numbers. That means you are giving life to that subject. By just looking at it, it won't do. You have to draw each line. Okay? So make sure you do a perfect study. And use a ruler, pencil, eraser, pen, make it nice, make it beautiful. Do the learning in a perfect way. These little things what we learn will be very much helpful later on. So if you draw, you can draw all this line together. Draw, space, draw, space, draw, space. At once you can draw this. One, two, mark. Use the use the lines in your book. Every single rule book, you can do it that easily. Right. Okay. The total idea is this to add the firm supply to get the market. Now, okay. So when you do the questions and answers, sometimes the supply function of form 1, form 2, form 3 is given separately. Q is equal this for form 1, Q is equal this for form 2. So we should be able to add all of that, simplify and get the answer. If you don't have this knowledge that you do the addition of this firm sub for individual firms QS separately or to put together, you will not do the sums properly. That's why we are concerned about this minor thing. Right, I think you have taken this by now. If I'm too fast, tell me. This has to be written page number 17. Right? Then I go further. I hope it is time. Right. Okay, it's about the law of supply. Right. Right. Okay, what will determine the determinants of firm supply? Okay. What will decide the price supply? Okay. So price of concerned goods, P. Price of input, C. Technology, price of related goods, expectation of producers, government policies and other factors. Okay. These are like okay, and these abbreviation can change from one literature to other, but the same thing, right? So price of concerned good, price of input, all this will relate to supply, right? If you write this as a function, quantity supply is a function of all that. Okay, can say all that. Okay, this is about the institutional supply, right? But if we talk about the market supply, right, then it will be the quantity supply is a function of price and many things. Okay, you can see price function and many things should be there. Okay, let's study the law of supply now in detail, right? So now you are in page number 18. In page number 18, you may draw this. Okay, what are you going to draw? What is law of supply? It's a positive relationship. Okay, that means if one element rises, other one also rises proportionally together at once. Okay, what is meant by ceteris paribus? It's an assumption. That means holding other factors constant. You consider price as the only determinant in this case. Okay, right. Okay, so then it says if you are a rational supplier, at higher prices you tend to supply more, and if you are a rational supplier, at low prices you tend to produce low. Okay, this doesn't have to start from origin, but you can see it's upward sloping curve. Right. Shall I take down this? I want you to draw the graph only. The same thing is explained in your note. Just draw the graph. Okay, there's no need for a scale now. You can say prices are from here 2, 5, 8, 11, 14. At zero level, the one wishes to supply anything. Okay, I make it a little bigger. Okay, just draw that. So your vertical axis is the price, horizontal axis will be the quantity, and your supply curve is upward sloping. And once you draw the curve, you have to give a name. You can say supply and the prices, right? And if you write the prices, see that you write it to the left of this vertical line, to the down of the horizontal line. Just as if supply curve is upward sloping. I hope you have taken this down by now. Just tell me if you have not completed anything. Right. Okay, so then they say supply can be studied, right, by supply schedule, by supply curve, and by supply equation, right? And here you are given a database, right? Price of concerned good from 1 to 70. It's all printed for you, and the quantity supplied is also given to you, right? And you are to draw the supply curve. Shall we draw that? Okay. And you need a proper scale, okay? You need a proper scale and just draw it quickly as possible. Okay, on your by looking at the details, looking at the database, you draw the graph, right? It has to be mathematically correct. It has to be according to a proper scale. Do that, will you? You have to name the axis, okay? P, Q, S is the origin, and mark the points properly and the coordinates. What are coordinates? Say if you draw those, okay, it has to be very light. Okay, if you want to draw a very light pencil line like this, because if you or just take 2 points and connect. Okay, since this is a diagonal line, by keeping the ruler properly, just draw 2 points and connect. Like that goes. But otherwise, if you draw all these points in the graph, it will become messy and we will not be able to understand the concept we are talking about. But this is the way to find coordinate. At 10 so much, at 20 so much, at 30 so much, like that. I think you have drawn the graph by now a bit. Tell me so. I need a scale, right? Or else you can take the supply equation. Okay. Now, when draw the supply equation, right? Now, you don't have to worry a lot about the supply equation, but I would simply say how it is drawn. Okay, now say for example, this is color. Okay, say this is your axis, right? Your supply curve is like this. Okay, and this is your price axis, and this place is called the intercept. Okay, it's called the intercept. And if you talk about the difference, right, shall I say, the difference between, let's see, there's an angle here, rise over run, right, and the dist, okay, rise is this, run is this, okay, rise divided by run, and also you can get, right, some idea about the angle they are dealing with. Okay, so therefore, by looking at this, all the mathematicians, okay, have developed an equation, right? It's called the supply equation, right? This is how it is made up, right? So I will not elaborate on more of this. I just say there's equation, right? Okay, let it be as it may, right? So this is your equation. And how equation is taken by the slope of the supply curve and also intercept. Right. Okay. So then we are going to talk about, right, the difference between the change in quantity supplied and the change in supply. So before that, okay, you may have to draw the next graph. Okay, you may draw that in page number 20, right? In page number 20, you have one space. Do write down this. Okay, so it's about change in quantity supplied. So these are movement along the supply curve, right? From one place to another. You can see when the price rise, P0, P, P1, right? This is a way of reading economic detail. You can see one, price two, price three, or price zero, P, P1, anything, right? Okay, so at this price, okay, P0, you are talking about Q0, right? At P, Q5. At P1 is QS1, like that. Okay, shall I take it down? So it's about the contraction and extension. Contraction means reduction, extension means the increase. Okay, you may draw that in page number 20 bottom. There is no need for a scale because there are no numbers here. Mm. There's a question here. They say, is this PDF available in a WhatsApp group? If it is not there, shall I just remind the coordinator and manager to send it? Give me a second, right? Vidyani, do you have the copy?
No, ma'am.
How do you also don't have?
No.
How did you manage then?
Uh, I'm writing it on another paper.
Give me a second, right? I will. I'll make sure that you give me a few minutes. I'm sorry about this, right? I'll send talk to them. Just copy down until I do that. I'm sorry. I was reading like a parrot, and I was just worried about it now. Sorry about this. පුතේ note එක දාලා නැද්ද? ඊයේ රැවුවා. icon එක. ඔයා මුකුත් කරන්න එපා. ඔයා Word document එක හරි එහෙම දාන්න. cover page එකක් ඕනේ නැහැ. හේතුව මේ මොකද ඒක අර ගිය සැරේ continue note එක. පොඩක් නිකන් බලන්න Word document එකක් එද්දි අර අකුරු එහාට මෙහාට වෙලාද කියලා බලන්න. මම ෆෝන් එකේ offset වගේ. නැත්නම් Word එක හරි දෙන්න. කමක් නැහැ. දැන් වෙලා නැහැනේ. PDF කන වෙලා තිබ්බනම් හොඳයි. ස්පේස් වෙනස් කරන්න එපා පුතේ. එහෙම දාන්න. හරි. දාලා මට කියනවද? අනිත් අර මේ FS එක දැම්මා. හරි. ඔව්. Okay, you will be getting it soon, right? Not to worry about it. And if you have missed something, just go through the lecture again and fill the blanks. Okay. We haven't done much. Like actually, we have been discussing about last day work, and we went further. We were talking about the determinants of demand in detail, and just start a little bit of supply, right? And just write page 20. Page 20 and then you draw the graph. Okay, you are welcome, Dylan. Thank you for telling me. Right. I have selected this graph with a reason, right? Now it's like this, okay? P0, P1, and usually we are used to numbers, right? And if you don't get numbers, you might worry about it. So therefore, P0 is the first one, P is the next, and P2 is the next, right? In some places, like, P0, P is not available, they might start with P1. So make sure you read your information properly and draw. I think, did you all get it now? Was it in the group? Somebody answer me. Is it available in the group now, the note? And I must tell you this now, okay? We are still doing chapter two, right? The topic is like economics fundamentals of a market economy. So last week the pages were up to 16, and this note will start from page 17 onwards. It's one note. So I told them not to send the cover page. This is a continued note, right? I hope things are available now. Right. Okay. And if not, I will tell the page number. Just pay consent. You concentrate on this note today, lecture today. Finally, fill the blanks. Okay, that will do. Not to worry. Right. Okay, and we have been doing page number 20, bottom. Right. Then I think time is enough. So then these are like change in quantity supplied. Okay, these are the movement along the supply curve, and gradually we are going to study the change in supply. So the change in supply, in a sense, the whole supply curve will shift towards left or right. Okay, shall I take down this? Right, entire curve is shifting to left or right. For example, for P1, okay, here at this is QSO, right? So this is the first one, and here at P1, if you talk about this SX curve, and our demo QS is so much, so like that. Okay, so the curve can shift to its left and right. Just take it down. So if the curve moves to its left side, we call decrease in supply. Why say decrease in supply? Because the quantity is lesser. If you move to here, now here the quantity is so much. If it's a scale, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now shall I say this is 5, and when the curve moves to its left, it becomes 3 or 2 or like that. At the same time, when the curve shifts to its right side, quantity is also changing. Okay, please do that. Those who are new to economics, make sure you draw your graph beautifully to the standard. Okay, because when you do your further courses, after CBF, then DBF, then there are so many other courses in economics. As a banker, you should know your economics well. So draw the graphs beautifully, properly, accurate, and enjoy drawing the graph. Right. I hope you have taken this by now. Okay, then shall I move further? Hope so. Right. Okay. So after drawing that, now this is a summary, right? Summary of what we have to study. It's in page 21 bottom. Right. Okay. So it will show you. Okay. Mm, change in quantity supplied and change in supply. So then price of concerned goods and determinants. Okay, what happens there? And also factors shifting the curve to its right and factors shifting the curve to its left. Okay, so then I'm using another screen to explain this, right? A bit. Say, right. Okay, these are like what you have just studied. I just want to worry about the determinants. Okay. Okay. So you may write this in a writing book, right? Or little idea. Okay. So what are the factors affecting the supply? You can see supply curve will shift to its left and right, and some of the points are given to you, the very prominent one. Okay. So let me explain that in detail. Okay. You can make a small note of that, right? It's about the cost of production. Okay, it's about the cost of production. Now, I'm telling a lot of stories here, right? It's about the paddy production, right? Paddy production. Now, for the paddy production, right, the government had a habit of giving the fertilizer subsidy. That means if the fertilizer subsidy 50 kg packet is, shall we say, 1,000 rupees, part of that will be borne by the government. That means 500 rupees has to be paid by the farmer. So if the fertilizer subsidy is given to them, the farmer can go to the uh, fertilizer seller with 1,000 rupees and he can buy 2,000. He can buy two, because cost part of the cost is borne by the government. If the paddy fertilizer is not given to him, he can take 1,000 rupees. He can only buy one. And by fertilizer, what are we trying to do to increase the pH value of the soil and make it more fertile? All that reason, right? So if you put the relevant amount of fertilizer, finally your harvest will be better. You can have a situation where you bumper crops, a good situation, right? So therefore, you can see by some reason, now if the fertilizer subsidy is borne by the government, cost of production of the farmer will reduce. So what he can do, he can produce more because he can apply more fertilizers to the paddy field. Okay, so that is one thing, right? Supply curve to it shift into the right side. At the same time, when you curtail the fertilizer subsidy, your cost of production will rise and supply curve will shift to its left side. Okay. So, and also the related details will be like, rise in wages, rise in raw material, cost of transport, cost also matter. Now, again, I take the fertilizer, sorry, paddy cultivation. So long time ago, we never hired labor. There was no paid labor. Say there is some paddy cultivation related activity in my paddy field, all the others around the area will come and help me. We give free labor. So then, tikiri maniki ambula, so the ambula is like whatever given to the farmers. Like, there are a lot of songs behind it, but we never knew the meaning, why it is such. So next day, the same activity will be done in another neighbor's paddy field. Then all of us will go there and do it. So there is no payment for the labor, isn't it? No payment for the labor. Like everybody is supporting each other, right? So then, right, but now today the situation is different, right? There are no people to do it. One thing, everybody is educated and they are going for better jobs available. If you're educated, if you're learned, available, right? And at the same time, this primary production, tea, coconut, rubber, paddy, they don't fetch a good price. So therefore, it's basically not popular in the market. People don't want to involve in those, right? Therefore, your cost of production is so high. Okay, people are not there. You have to, even if it is, you have to hire labor. So when you hire labor, sometimes it will be very expensive matter. So your cost of production will rise. So what happens? Farmers will give up the cultivation of those, or they will limit their production. The supply curve can shift to its left. Another situation. Okay. So okay, rise in wages. Okay, say labor cost is high, you don't do it. Right? Even sometimes I will say so the construction field, right? Labor cost is so high. Sometimes you want to do extension to your kitchen or house, you don't do it. Why? Cost is very high, right? And also material cost, right? Sometimes I say it's about manufacturing of cakes. So people have to use good eggs, isn't it, to get the best quality. So if the egg price is very high, right, and you cannot keep it with the market price, there is, in the market there's a price, no, then what happens? Sometimes you cut down the production or increase the price of the item what you make, cake item. So if it is too much, people will not buy that at all. So all eggs related item can be expensive. At the same time, now say egg price went down, yes, then items are available. So therefore, your cost of production plays a vital role in deciding as to how much you should produce. Okay, this is just for information. You can just have a little idea, just name it, right? I'm telling you a few examples here. Right. Or else like climatic changes. Okay. Now, okay. Right. Okay. Now, favorable weather condition, like a timely sun, timely rain, will always increase the cost of, increase the paddy cultivation. So, any cultivation, shall we say bumper crop situation. So, if you get favorable weather conditions, what happens? Your supply curve will shift to its right side. Understood. So at the same time, if there's a drought, right? If there's a drought and also, some rainy season, untimed rainy season will destroy your crops. Okay, your supply curve will shift to its left side. Okay. Now, you have seen the recent example, right? I don't have to tell the names, but favorable condition, climate condition will increase crops and vice versa, right? So that is one situation. Let's take for the technology, right? Okay, now this is shall I say it's not a very good example to say, but I have to mention it. Their academics are concerned, right? So it's about the meat production. Okay, now if I say Brazil, Argentina, like Mexico, right? There are a lot of farms, right? And they do the meat production in big scale, right? And you know how the cleaning is done? It's all done by machines, right? It's all done by machine, right? So work is very fast. Right now, shall I say it's about the chicken farming, right? And in Sri Lanka and all these Asian countries, we might use a very raw, very bad method of doing the slaughtering, right? But in other countries, it's all done by machines, and like the bird will not have time to even think about what's happening to it. Okay, it can be done quickly and easily. So that with the use of technology, things can be done faster, easily, right? And recent days, I'm seeing some advertisement about the roti maker, right? Roti maker now, like what we have seen, so somebody will mix it and it takes time to make the roti and make it upside down. Like at least you need about half an hour to make six rotis, no? Example, right? So then, but this roti maker, you have to put water in one part and the fly another part and you press the button, roti will come out, right? So you can see the technology, your work is faster, can do better. Like coffee making machine, right? Those days people used to brew coffee and do tea ceremony, like, very long process of doing coffee. Now it's a machine, right? So very soon, everything will be automated. So with the technology, as you see, supply curve can be shifted to its right side, right? Taxes, right? You can just make a note of it, okay? Taxes, if the government is charging a lot of taxes, the money available for the farmers to produce more will be limited. So he will cut down the supply. At the same time, if you give allowances, subsidies, and all that, farmers will be able to produce more. So the supply curve will shift to its right side. Okay. So these are just explanation of the note. Right. Yeah, this is about the subsidies. Right. Okay. With the subsidy, the farmers will be able to produce more. So these are all connected. Like when you make a note, you can, if you miss something, you just kind of go through this. This a video available, no? You can see the picture and get this idea. Sometimes, learn the examples. What I see, it's easier to remember the subject. Right. What else? Right. Price of other product also matter, right? So this is a like, okay, if you can fetch, shall I say in the market, you can sell, we take Sri Lankan example. For an example, you can produce oranges or you can produce apples. And if apples fetch a good price, then cut down the production of oranges and you may do apple, right? Okay. And Sri Lanka also, there are a lot of farmland for mangoes. You can do Tom JC and all that. There are mango field, right? You can do mangoes. You can do, shall I say, some guava. So whatever the item which brings more profit. So people can change the investment decisions accordingly. Right. This time, right. You know, I just explained this. Okay. So I think you will be able to manage with that. Right. So then, I'm in page. Now we are in page number 22. In page number 22, we are going to talk about the market. Right, we have discussed a bit about market some time ago, right? Okay, so what is the definition? Right now, a market, when we were small, market is a place. Holatayana, it's a place, isn't it? So you must have heard about this uh, Mohammed Mohini Begso, ගමේ ගොඩේ සිදාදියේ කවුරුත් පාහේ බඩු ගන්නයි බඩු දෙන්නයි පොළටයි ආවේ. And he give a list for the child, so this one, and for the mother, this one, like a story. Okay. So therefore it was a place. It was a place long time ago. Right? But gradually things change. So it's not a place anymore. It can be anything, right? It's an arrangement. Okay. Now you see, now usually we have a habit of visiting the place, analyzing and looking and going through that several times and buy the product. Okay. Now, for example, some years ago, like I'm talking about, shall I say about 26 years ago, okay, that this Pizza Hut was new. Pizza was very new, right? And we have not eaten pizza. We have eaten roti at home, but not pizza, right? Same principle, but not eaten and very new. When people want to taste this, right? And then there's a number. What is the number? Pizza Hut number 2729 729. So it means okay, you can order by phone. You can order by phone and you can, then they will tell these are the items what you have. This is so much, ma'am. With cheese, is a price. With more cheese, is a price. You can get that is spicy or chicken or whatever. They give explanation. So you have to listen to that and see. I want this one, right? We have not seen the product. If you go to Pizza Hut, of course, see the product. Now we hear the product. Somebody's explaining that. So we can say, I want this one, that one. This one, no, no, what you told earlier, the very first one, so we don't even know the name. Somehow pizza comes like they delivered, right? It's very something very new, something of novelty, right? So then when you order, they will register your name. Okay, this is okay. So Geetika Jaisingh order place, and there is a record. So next time when you call them, they will address you by name. Hi, Mrs. Jaisingh. Last time you have ordered this one. This time also you do the same thing. And we were impressed because somebody knew our name and they know our preferences, and it felt nice. Okay, but then. Right, okay. Then the number became very famous. Okay, 2729729. Right. So then my daughter pressed the number once and they have answered. Right, okay. Then am I talking to so and so? Then it was not me, somebody else. They say, okay, no, so and so has to call. Your mother has to call us. So like that, right? So we have a habit of buying things we have not seen over the phone. But you all can see today market is changing. So we are talking about the digital market economy, right? You don't see a product. You have not even seen thing, right? Over the phone, over the like in the social media, so many transactions are taking place, right? Okay. And cash on delivery, money will be paid later, right? Different sizes, different way of presenting. Sometimes now, this is what I have noticed, like you people those days used now if you want to buy some material, you touch it and see, is it comfortable? Is it long lasting? Right? Sometimes you can see people order stuff online and you don't get the expected quality. Right? So you compare the prices by looking at the advertisement, but where is the quality of this item? Okay, no longer is available, but still it's happening sometimes by the word of mouth, right? So everything is online. So when you want to buy, when you want to see a movie, online ticket, right? When you want to see the online ticket, right? So all market, right? And we can find out whether tickets have been sold or not, right? Okay, it seems that this Aloka Varsha, like Danish show, ticket was sold long time ago before the show. It's very difficult to get one, right? There's so much of competition, right? You can see the market is changing, and also like because of this digital economy, right? You don't sometimes items come from other countries. Okay, now say for example from America, right? Uh, mm, from America, we can buy goods. From China, we can buy goods, right? From any part of the world. We are not seeing the product, they will say the product specification, even the electronics we can buy. So therefore, market is an arrangement, platform, or physical space where buyers and sellers interact to exchange goods and services, right? Or information in return for a consideration, usually money. Right now, services also concerned, like it has to be like done face to face, like now teaching is also has changed, right? It's not face to face, like it can be done online. Okay. And sometimes doctors service, so we get online doctors, right? And I always had my doubt, like usually they say, okay, when you go to the open the tongue, like, show your tongue, and they will raise my eyes and see, like, under the eyes, above the eyes, what you have, see the colors and all that. Now, I don't know how people do that. Like those days, they used to inspect everything, not the case anymore, right? So it's online. And but later in the future, like many services can be performed by artificial intelligence, but something like counseling cannot be done like that. Something you have to talk to the person because sometimes people are different from one to another. They're all unique situations. Right. Okay. Right. So it is there. Right. Okay. So now it's a global financial network. Okay, so market is therefore a very broad idea. So let me explain the functions of market, right? So when you talk about the function of market, we also have explained some time ago also, right? Okay, it's about in a market, prices will be decided, determined by demand and supply forces. Now, I was telling sugar and salt look similar, but the price we pay for each is different, right? Sugar, it's like everybody you need it. Okay, like there's so much of consumption. Population, like talk about population, very large percentage of the population will be using sugar, right? So the if you are supplying sugar, okay, you can use know at what price you have to sell it. And if you talk about the salt, right, we need it day to day, but the quantity is very little salt is required, right? Okay, so therefore, right, okay, the demand and supply will decide the price, right? Okay. So at the same time, it provides the exchange because of the market is there. We will be able to sell our excess production and buy somebody else's excess, right? And I came to know that in Vietnam they don't cook food. It seems. I mean, in our houses of 3 days, 3 meals a day. We cook and eat, right? So it's like cooking has become the only thing we do at home finally. If you stay at home, it's what you do. But in Vietnam, they say it's a specialized service, like you get a haircut, like a dress done. It's like a specialized service. You don't cook. Enough and more places are available. You buy them. They are at reasonable rates. Isn't it? So therefore, it's about the facilitating exchange. Right. And also it gives information, right? Okay, where things are expensive, it gives information. And low prices also, it gives information. So people try to sell where things are expensive and not to sell where things are very low. And same product, same now. I have seen sometime, right? Okay, this I saw, I went to a shop where they sell the small domestic items. became sale kade කියලා, like the small items, right? So there's one buyer, and some people are selling the same item online at a very high price. Same item, isn't it? So therefore, you can see, right? How people make business out of the deal. You have to see, right? Look into the information where things are available at which price and what you buy or what you sell, whom your customers are, right? And it gives signals to resource allocation. And they decide, okay, if you are now I was talking about, okay, you can cultivate Tom JC or guava. Tom JC is an type of mango. We saw that. So you can decide, okay, you can use the resources effectively. If you get a good profit, you cultivate that. Isn't it? Right. Now, sometimes people with a lot of, say, real estate, so they try to give their houses on rent and live on areas where the rent is very low, so that they think, okay, your returns are very high if you rent out your area, rent out in this particular area because rent is expensive, real estate is expensive, right? So these are all decisions, right? And also another one, right? It's about the liquidity and accessibility. Right. Okay. So where you can sell the item soon and get your money. Okay. So these are basic ideas. Right. And then we go to goods and services market. Right. I'll explain with this. Right. Okay. I'm in page. I'll give little time. One moment. You may read page number 23. Okay. In page 23, we talk about the goods and services market. Right? Okay. Uh, and also the factor market. I will explain from this. Take it here. Right? Right. If you talk about the basic, right? In goods market, the finished products are sold. In the factor market, the item which was required to do a production will be sold. right? So they are the inputs used in the production, right? And here we go down. Who are the buyers? Here, buyers will be household. Every person belong to household, right? In the factor market, firms where or businesses will be buying those, right? They are the suppliers, right? Okay. Features will be this with the product market, this will be a resource market, right? Who are the sellers? Here the firms, and here they are the household. Same idea, right? Okay. Go further. Right. What is traded? So basic consumption item, bread, cars, legal services, many more. And here what you sell is things required to produce all that, or factors. Right. And here there's a direct demand, right? Because you are buying the completed item, and for this you are buying, okay, buying items which are required to produce another item, right? Okay. So it's a derived demand, right? Okay. Here, determined by the price of the product, you decide on the price, and here you talk about the factor income. Okay, little bit, not really so much, but they can ask you to compare this and this, right? Okay, little. So I put it in a table form. Right. And there we are going to talk about the market equilibrium. And I want you to have pen, pencil, erasers, and all that, right? Okay. You're going to draw a lot of graphs. So now we have studied little bit of demand, we have studied little bit of supply, right? And we are going to put all in one graph. That place is called, or that arrangement is called the market. Yeah. These are the details. Let me explain graphically, right? Okay, so this graph is available to you. Now, okay, as you see, this is your vertical axis, this is your horizontal axis, right? And this is upward slope, this upward sloping curve is your supply curve, and here this downward sloping curve is your demand curve. So at one point it interacts. Okay. So at that time, your cost will be equal to revenue. It's a starting point. So this is available in your note, right? So let me give further detail. Right. Okay. So right? These are explanation, but we will be studying the practical aspect of, right? Okay, so we are going to talk about the market equilibrium. Okay, first of all, by drawing curves, and also secondly, by the equation, right? They say, first of all, market equilibrium schedule can be shown as follows, because you need details to do it, right? Okay, shall I take it down or it's there, right? Okay, so for example, say, uh, price will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? At this price quantities, okay? 12, 10, 8. You can see when the price is very high, you produce less. Okay. At the same time, when quantity supplied is taken at lower prices, you produce a very little, and higher prices, you tend to produce more. So this graph details are given to you. But at the same time, at price of 3, your quantity demanded and quantity supply both are equal, right? So shall I say this is the equilibrium where both QD and QX are equal at the price of 3. So we're gradually going to draw that. Right. Okay, kindly go to page number 26. Can you see the space given? Just use a proper scale and do it. Draw that, will you? I give a little time. You instruction will be like you need the proper scale, and the table is already given to you, right? First you draw the scale. Price in the vertical axis, quantity in the horizontal axis. Then you draw either demand curve or supply curve. And then when there's interaction, okay, you take it down, right? And so I'll be draw that video, give me a little time. I will not be in my seat for a minute, okay? Just continue drawing the graph accurately. How is the progress? Are you done with doing the count scale? Hopefully. Hmm, right. So I think you have marked. Okay, at a price of 3, okay, your QS and QD both are resting at 6. Okay, so the point where QS equal QD can be termed as equilibrium. At the same time, right, if you meet the vertical axis, if you go further, okay, you get equilibrium price. And here at this price, both parties have agreed to buy and sell. And at the same time, at a price of 3, both parties can buy and sell 6 units of the item. Okay, that will be the detail. Right. So then we go down further a bit. Okay. This is all explained in your note. Right. Then we go to the equation. Right. Okay. Equation given. Okay. So as I told you, like, demand equation, supply. So demand is a function now. Something. Supply is a function now. So at the same time, the intercept. Okay. So also different, right? What is intercept? Explained once, right? So by looking at all that, right, and also the slope of the demand curve or the supply curve. This is about how it calculates, right? That is for a reference only. So you will be able to derive the equation. Okay. So then what you do is you have to simplify the equation and find the price. Now, for example, say 12 minus 2p equals 2p. So you can take the 2p to one side, identify common terms, right? Then you can find the value of p, right? And substitute the value of p in the equation, you will be able to get the equilibrium quantity. That's what we do. So this is for your understanding. So let us do one and see, right? This is your explanation, right? Then we see excess demand and excess supply, right? I will take in this equation later on to do a sum and also do another tute on this, right? Okay. So now we go back to, right, this detail, this, right? Is it available for you? Or just look at this and do it, okay? Now, this is a database. Same database what we have used earlier. Okay. In that, right? These are the prices and these are the quantity demanded and these are the quantity supplied. At one place, if you go this way, you can see, right, okay, quantity demanded and quantity supplied will be the same. Now see, above the equilibrium, this is above the equilibrium. This is below the equilibrium because our equilibrium, this is our EP, equilibrium price, above the equilibrium and below the equilibrium. So if you talk about the situation below the equilibrium, the 1, 2, if you draw a scale, 0, 1, 2 will come first, right? 3 later on. Now say at that price. Now shall I say here at 3, there is no excess demand and excess supply. Let us see how we do it. So if I take the price of 2, there my quantity demanded is 8, but my quantity supplied is 4. So you can see there is an excess demand of 4, right? The difference. So at a price of 1, okay, my demand is 10, but how much I supply? It's 2, right? The price is 8. Right now, for example, current fuel consumption, you ask about 10, what you have is 2, right? Excess demand, right? Right. And also at zero price, your demand is 12, supply is 0, your excess demand quantity is 12. So this is below the equilibrium price. So let us talk about the above the equilibrium. At a price of 4, your quantity demanded is 4, but supply will be too much, 8. So you can get what? Excess supply of 4 at a price of 5. 10 minus 2, 8 will be my answer. That is excess supply. At a price of 6, my excess demand will be 12, right? So let us put this information in a graph. Okay, draw that properly, or is there already, right? So let me explain, or just draw it beautifully, right? Okay, so you can see the same graph. These are the quantities 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 are the quantities. These are the prices 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the equilibrium. Equilibrium can සමතුලිතය. Equilibrium, right? So if I just take this, okay, this is the equilibrium price. Just write it there in your note. Equilibrium price. And here, equilibrium quantity. Equilibrium quantity. Okay. So then let's see how it happens, right? Above the equilibrium. Now, we see these are the prices below the equilibrium. These are the prices above the equilibrium. Shall we mark it? Say, right, okay. So I'm looking for freehand. Right, okay. So above the equilibrium, below the equilibrium. So, and this is your supply curve and this is your demand curve, right? So here below the equilibrium, your prices are really low. At that time, people want to buy more. So you can see your demand is like 8, 6, 8, 10, 12. At very low prices, suppliers or the firms wish to supply less. So supply will be somewhere here, right? They don't want to supply at all. So you can see, therefore, there's a huge difference between the supply and the demand. So below the equilibrium price, you will be getting an excess demand situation because the demand is here, supply is there. So at equilibrium, demand and supply both will be the same. But above the equilibrium, you can see prices are really high. Suppliers are willing to supply a lot. You can see supply somewhere here. If you read the scale here, 12, 10, 6, and 8. But at lower prices, right? The supply lesser, no, you know that, right? But where the demand is concerned, at expensive prices, they want to some price, they want to buy a little. So the demand is very low according to law of demand, right? Then what happens? So above the equilibrium, you can getting an excess supply situation. So, but at the same time, right? So uh, excess supply will become bigger